Futurama may be a comedy, but it's not afraid to break your heart, or make you laugh right after doing it. These are every killed-off characters in Futurama. Let's start off with a character who proved that even monkeys can outsmart humans. Mars University, Season 1, Episode 11. Gunther may have been a monkey, but he wasn't just any monkey. He was the smartest one on Mars. His story in Mars University starts funny but turns surprisingly emotional, showing how his incredible intelligence became both a gift and a burden. It all begins when Fry, Bender, and Leela arrive at Mars University to deliver a crate to Professor Farnsworth. Fry, realizing that his old college dropout status from the 20th century now makes him only a high school dropout in the 31st,
by current academic standards, you're merely a high school dropout. What?
decides to enroll again just so he can drop out all over. That's Fry's kind of logic.
I'm going to enroll here at Mars University and drop out all over again.
But what he doesn't expect is his roommate, a talking monkey wearing a little hat. The monkey's name is Gunther. Farnsworth proudly explains that Gunther is his experiment. He was the top secret contestant of the crate they delivered, and that his intelligence comes from his electronium hat, a device that boosts his brain power to genius levels. Back in class, Fry starts to resent Gunther's brilliance. The monkey answers every question, wins every debate, and makes Fry look even dumber by comparison. The jealousy hits its peak during Parents' Weekend, when Gunther's family, two wild monkeys from Farnsworth's lab, are brought in. Embarrassed by his feral parents, Gunther tries to ignore them, but Fry, being Fry, opens their cage to lighten the mood. Instead, all hell breaks loose. The wild monkeys escape, and Gunther runs away in shame. Leela makes Fry realize how wrong he was to open the cage. When they enter Gunther's room, they find him sitting quietly, clearly upset. He admits that the hat makes him smart, but it doesn't make him happy.
It looks cool and it makes me smart, but it doesn't make me happy.
Fry, trying to help in his usual clumsy way, suggests,
If you're so miserable here, maybe you should just go back to the jungle.
but Gunther shakes his head and says,
But I couldn't do that to the professor. I'm his prize experiment.
Leela gently steps in, telling him that while the professor may have made him, he isn't really his dad, just someone who gave him a start. The breaking point comes during the big exam. Overwhelmed and confused, Gunther throws off his hat mid-test and runs out of the classroom, swinging into the Martian jungle to escape it all. When Fry, Leela, and Farnsworth go after him, they find him trapped between two worlds. Too smart to live like an animal, too wild to live like a man. Farnsworth tries to give him the hat back, while Fry tempts him with a banana. For a moment, it looks like Gunther can't choose between intelligence and peace. Before he can decide, chaos strikes. Bender and his frat brothers race by in their regatta boat, dragging Fry and Leela into the river. In a moment of true bravery, Gunther puts the hat back on and rushes to save them. He succeeds, but as he holds them to safety, he loses his balance and falls off a cliff. The crew rushes to find him, fearing the worst. But Gunther survives. The hat broke his fall, and now running at half capacity, gives him just enough intelligence to live without the crushing weight of genius. He decides to transfer to business school, happily announcing his new start, while Farnsworth groans in despair. Gunther doesn't die, but after this episode, he disappears from the show and is never seen again. It feels like the end of his story, the genius monkey who chose a simpler life. From the jungle of Mars University to the jungle of business, meet the man who thought greed was good and paid the price. Future Stock, Season 3, Episode 21. Every once in a while, Futurama gave us a character who was larger than life, burned bright for one episode, and then flamed out in the most ridiculously way possible. Steve Castle, better remembered as simply that guy, was that guy. He was the walking, talking stereotype of an 80s businessman. Slicked back hair, sharp suit, and a sleazy grin that screamed corporate greed.
Sharks are winners, and they don't look back, because they don't have necks. Necks are for sheep.
The episode begins with the Planet Express crew discovering that their company is flat broke. The staff gathers for a tense shareholders meeting where the professor admits the stock is worthless. Fry, bored and hungry, wanders off and stumbles into a support group for people who were frozen in cryogenic chambers. There, he meets Steve Castle, a businessman straight out of Wall Street. Castle explains that he froze himself decades earlier while waiting for a cure for his fatal illness, something he calls bonitis.
Naturally, I froze myself until a cure was found, and now here I am.
With his oversized confidence and cheesy sales pitch style, he immediately impresses Fry. When the Planet Express crew holds a vote vote for a new CEO, Fry nominates Castle, and he wins.
The new Chief Executive Officer of Planet Express Corporation is that guy.
And you know what? He didn't even know what he'd been picked for yet. Yet he instantly slipped into full-on boss mode. Overnight, Castle transforms Planet Express from a struggling delivery service into a company that looks successful, even if it isn't actually delivering anything. He appoints Fry as his right-hand man, flatters him, and convinces everyone that profits and image matter more than honest work. His logic is that delivery doesn't matter in the delivery business. What really matters is image. But of course, his real plan isn't to save the company, it's to sell Planet Express to Mom, their biggest rival, so she can wipe them off the map. Castle manipulates the crew, outvotes them with the shares he bought, and even secures a buyout price that would make everyone rich beyond their wildest dreams. The stage is set for Planet Express to be absorbed and erased forever. Then comes one of the most darkly funny twists in Futurama history. Just as the deal is about to go through, Castle suddenly doubles over. The disease he casually mentioned before, his dreaded bonitis, hits him in full force. His bones snap, his body twists, and in one of the show's most grotesque yet hilarious visuals, he dies right there in the boardroom. The irony? He admits with his final breath that he simply forgot to cure it.
I was so busy being an 80s guy, I forgot to cure it.
All his plotting, all his greed, and all his slick moves end in a death caused by his own negligence. With Castle gone, his controlling shares fall into Fry's hands. Fry gives back the control to Professor Farnsworth and makes a heartfelt speech about friendship being more important than money, but his words tank the stock price to almost nothing. The crew's dreams of riches vanish instantly, leaving them stuck with their struggling company, but at least alive and free from Mom's control. Steve Castle was the ultimate one-episode villain, a character who lived for greed and died because he couldn't be bothered to save himself. Out of all the killed-off characters in the show, his exit stands out as one of the most dramatic, funniest, and yes, bone-crunching. Next, we trade business suits for battle flags in a story that's part courtroom drama, part patriotic tragedy. A Taste of Freedom, Season 4, Episode 5. Few Futurama characters embodied loyalty and conviction quite like Old Man Waterfall. He wasn't flashy, he wasn't comedic like Zap or Bender, but when he appeared, he stood firmly for principle. And in A Taste of Freedom, his principles cost him his life in one of the most dramatic moments of the series. The episode begins on Earth's annual Freedom Day, a holiday where people can do absolutely anything without consequences. Dr. Zoidberg, thrilled by the idea, goes too far when he eats the Earth flag, known as Old Freebie, during a ceremony led by President Nixon's head. Zoidberg sees this as the purest form of freedom.
I ate your flag, and I did it with pride. It's the very essence of Freedom Day.
But the crowd sees it as an act of treason. The celebration quickly collapses into chaos as the crowds turn on him, chasing Zoidberg through the streets and shouting "traitor." Zoidberg barely escapes by hiding in the Decapodian embassy, but his actions set off an international and interplanetary crisis. Outside the embassy, things turned serious. Everywhere, people are spreading propaganda against Zoidberg. Crowds were protesting, shouting hate, and hanging up dummies that looked like him as if he were a traitor. Zoidberg is soon put on trial. Fry worries that no one will agree to defend him, until Old Man Waterfall makes his grand entrance. A grizzled but sharp lawyer, he believes deeply in the right to freedom, even when it offends others.
I'm a veteran of 36 wars. Name a body part in a planet, and I've taken a bullet in it, on it.
In the courtroom, Old Man Waterfall argues fiercely that Zoidberg's actions might have been disgusting, but they were still a true act of freedom. He stands tall and declares,
I'm not some slick big city lawyer like my opponent here, but I am a veteran who has fought for his planet.
Then he raises his arm and asks,
You see this hand of mine?
Yes, I do.
No, you don't.
well, this isn't my real hand. I lost my real one for a flag, and it was worth it. I loved that flag more than I ever loved my 7 wives. The courtroom gasps, but he's not done yet. And if it came down to it, he adds proudly,
Eat a flag myself, if it would protect the freedoms of the proud people who salute that flag.
Despite his effort, Zoidberg is found guilty and sentenced to death after refusing to apologize. Old Man Waterfall, though defeated in court, wins Zoidberg's respect for standing with him when nobody else would. When Earth's military storms the embassy to capture Zoidberg, The Decapodians respond by summoning their own army. The Decapodian forces easily defeat Earth's defenses and enslave humanity, constructing a massive mobile oppression palace to control the planet. The situation is dire, and resistance seems impossible. Fry, Leela, Bender, and the others attempt to fight back by stealing a heat-seeking missile and firing it at the palace. But because the palace, like the Decapodians themselves, is cold-blooded, the missile can't lock onto its target. The weapon fails, and Earth's last hope seems lost. It's at this moment that Old Man Waterfall makes his final stand. Refusing to back down in the face of tyranny, he plants himself firmly in the path of the massive mobile oppression palace. "You can crush my body," he shouts, "but you'll never crush my spirit."
You can crush me, but you can't crush my spirit!
The giant machine rumbles forward and rolls over him without mercy, ending his life in a single, shocking instant. As the dust settles, his great-granddaughter rushes forward in tears. Zoidberg is devastated by the death of the only person who defended him. But inspired by Old Man Waterfall's sacrifice, he takes action. By burning the Earth flag and using its flame to draw the heat-seeking missile toward the palace, Zoidberg saves the planet and redeems himself in the eyes of the people. Still, the victory feels bittersweet. Old Man Waterfall's death is one of Futurama's most powerful casualties. In a show full of irony and dark humor, his end was played straight, an old man who gave his life for the freedom he believed in. And now, the saddest part of all, the story of a dog who waited and waited and never stopped waiting. Jurassic Bark, Season 4, Episode 7. Some Futurama deaths are hilarious, others shocking. But Seymour's, it's pure heartbreak. No explosions, no aliens, no chaos. Just the quiet, loyal love of a dog who never gave up on his best friend. It all begins when Fry and Bender visit a museum and stumble upon a fossilized dog on display. Fry freezes. That's not just any dog, it's Seymour Ass's, his loyal pet from the 20th century. Memories flood back. The day he first met Seymour outside a house where he had gone to deliver pizza. The little dog was sitting alone on the doorstep, looking weak and hungry. Fry handed him a slice of pizza and started talking to him, not realizing he'd just met a loyal friend who would stay by his side forever. Overwhelmed, Fry demands Seymour's body back, but they threw him out of the museum. In classic Fry fashion, he doesn't stop until he gets it, protesting for 3 days straight by dancing the hustle in front of the museum until they finally give in. Professor Farnsworth examines the fossil and reveals something incredible. Because Seymour fossilized so quickly, his DNA and memories are intact. The professor can clone him, down to his personality. For Fry, it's like a dream come true. He's ready to bring back his best friend, the one living piece of his past that still remembers him. But not everyone's happy about it. Bender, feeling jealous and left out, can't handle Fry's obsession with his dog. He lashes out, snatching Seymour's fossil and throwing it into a pit of lava. It's a cruel, emotional moment. Part rage, part loneliness. Fry is devastated. His only connection to his old life is gone. But guilt eats away at Bender. Realizing the depth of Fry's love, he dives into the lava himself. Because Seymour's fossil is made of dolomite, it's still intact. Finally, the cloning begins. Farnsworth's computer runs the data, and then drops a bombshell. Seymour didn't die when Fry was frozen. He lived 12 more years. Fry pauses. His face changes from excitement to calm sadness. If Seymour lived that long, then he must have moved on, found a new owner, lived a full life, and forgotten about him. With a bittersweet smile, Fry stops the process.
But he forgot me a long, long time ago.
In the final scene, we see the truth. Back in the year 2000, Seymour never moved on. When Fry left to make his final pizza delivery, Seymour didn't want him to go, but Fry went anyways and never came back. The loyal dog even followed him all the way to the cryogenics lab and waited outside Fry's freezing tube, hoping his friend would return. But Seymour was forced out. He waited outside Panucci's Pizza every single day, through rain, snow, and changing seasons, hoping Fry would return. The city moved on, but he didn't. After 12 long years, Seymour finally lay down and closed his eyes for the last time, still waiting for his best friend. His death wasn't dramatic or grand, just quiet and faithful. A simple end for a dog who never stopped believing his owner would come back. Finally, let's wrap things up with a man who preached about peace, fought for the planet, and got eaten for it. The Problem with Poplars, Season 2, Episode 15. Free Waterfall Jr. might be one of the most memorable one-off characters in Futurama, and not because of his ideas, but because of the way he met his end. He was the ultimate caricature of an overzealous activist, a man who preached endlessly about saving animals and Earth, but his overconfidence led to one of Futurama's funniest, ironic deaths. The episode begins with the Planet Express crew running low on food after a delivery. Searching for something to eat, they stumble upon a strange planet filled with small, bite-sized creatures. They taste delicious, addictive even, and the crew quickly names them poplars. They were so tasty that the crew began selling them, and soon the snacks exploded in popularity as Earth's newest fast food craze. A protest group soon begins to speak out against the eating of poplars, and the loudest voice of all belongs to Free Waterfall Jr.
Poplars are living creatures. You gotta stop harvesting them for food.
A hippie-style activist who delivers speeches about Mother Earth and protecting all her children. He rallies against humans for eating the creatures, demanding that people stop. But his self-righteous attitude and endless moralizing only annoy the Planet Express crew, especially since they're making a fortune off the sales. Everything changes when a poplar calls Leela Mama. Leela instantly stops everyone from eating them, realizing these are intelligent creatures. Soon after, a news debate takes place between Free Waterfall Jr., Leela, and Fishy Joe, the fast food mogul behind poplars. Joe defends selling them, while Free Waterfall Jr. calls him a murderer. But during the broadcast, the ground begins to shake. And suddenly, Lur, the president of Omicron Persei 8, appears. And then the real truth is revealed. These tasty bites aren't snacks at all. They're the baby offspring of the Omicronians. Furious that Earth has eaten billions of their young, the Omicronians demand revenge. Their solution is brutal. Since so many poplars have been eaten, they want to eat the same number of humans, an impossible 198 billion. When that proves unrealistic, they decide to eat just one, Leela, the first human who ever tasted a poplar. But Free Waterfall Jr. has other plans. When Zap Brannigan tries to trick the Omicronians by offering up an orangutan disguised as Leela, Free Waterfall Jr. ruins everything by exposing the ruse. He declares the ape is innocent, believing he's making a noble stand. But in reality, he seals his own fate. Just as Lur was about to devour Leela, young Jur, an Omicronian child, convinces his parents not to eat her. Lur relents, but Free Waterfall Jr. can't resist interrupting with yet another sanctimonious speech. And in a single swift bite, Lur swallows him whole in front of everyone. The irony couldn't be sharper. The man who spent the entire episode preaching about protecting life ended up devoured himself. Free Waterfall Jr.'s death was the ultimate punchline to his hypocrisy, making him one of Futurama's most unforgettable casualties. In true Futurama style, even death came with a twist. Some tragic, some ridiculous, and some that still make fans cry decades later. From Gunther to Seymour, each ending left its mark. Tell us which one broke or shocked you the most, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more journeys through the 31st century.